Hello, Jeff Morrell. How are you today? Hmm.
I'm good. I'm good. It's cold out here in Colorado,
It
but
is.
other than that, I'm good. We got hit with some snow, so it's windy
Seriously,
and
we're
cold, and I don't want to leave the
67 in
house.
Nashville. So we're having an abnormal day. Weather in Nashville is 67.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you
Well,
so
I'm
much.
excited to have you on and just have you share your words of wisdom because you have a lot of wisdom in the real
I'm
estate industry.
loaded. I am loaded with wisdom.
You are
Yep.
so loaded with it. So again, just thanks for being on today and joining me, and seriously being willing to share. We're
Mhm.
all about just giving back into our real estate community. So why don't you just start from the very beginning? Give me and give the listeners a 20,000 foot view of your real estate journey thus far.
Sure. I got started. I got licensed in 2002. My wife and I we moved here to Colorado Springs in '99 and started working with my father-in-law. He's a real estate developer. So I worked with him for a few years, and then 9/11 hit. His projects just froze. There was nothing going on, and so I went and got my real estate license. Started doing residential sales 2002. Started a small independent company. It was very old school. It worked fine for me. I mean, good friend of mine, the broker owner. So I didn't interview anywhere. That's where I landed. And, I got plugged into a really good coaching program about that time. Craig Proctor, a lot of people know
Hmm.
Craig. He was the number one
Yeah, I
Remax
started that.
agent. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was the number one Remax agent in the world at the time. And
Hmm.
so plugged into his system about 6 months after I got licensed and was part of that for 9 years. Great program. And, really took my business off. I ended up moving to Keller Williams in 2005, 3 years after I got licensed. My first brokerage, I was on a 70-30 split with no cap. And I didn't know any better. It was all good. That's just where I went. It was my friend that was the owner. And my third year, I did 72 deals by
Hmm.
myself, no assistant.
Wow.
And it about killed me, first of all. But I realized, like, wow, I gave a whole lot of money. I mean, over $100,000 to my broker that year. And I was never there. I mean, at that point, I'm working all this stuff with the coaching program. And I'm like, what the heck? So I ended up moving. My wife got licensed in 2005. She was already helping me a ton anyway. And so we went to Keller Williams, built a team, did very well there. I left Keller Williams in 2010. Just no issues with Keller Williams. Great company. I just wasn't using any of their tools, none
Mm.
of their system. I just had all my own websites, everything in place. And I'm paying them a lot of money.
Mhm.
After 5 years. I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like, what am I getting for my money? And so I went back to an independent company here in town, which was pretty much a 100% deal. $300 transaction fee, $50 a month. My team went with me. We were there. I really thought I'd ride out my whole career there until 5 years ago. A friend of mine, Sean Sturrock, reached out to me and asked me to take a look at EXP. And again, if somebody called me today to look at something, I go look at it. I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
That's
I've
right.
always been open minded. I've said no to tons of things. I told Sean, I'm like, look, I'll definitely take a look at it, but there's no way I'm moving. Been there, done that. The big companies, I don't know what it is, but I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not looking to move, but sure, send me what you got. And
Yeah.
a week later, we made a move. So that was 5 years ago. Getting ready to celebrate my 5-year anniversary with EXP. I was the 13th agent here in Colorado Springs to join, and we're over 400 now. It's growing like crazy, but without question, the best business decision I've ever made was making the move over here. So yeah, it's been a journey for sure. Lots of details in there that we can get into along the way, whatever you
Yeah.
want to do. But
Well,
yeah, been a ride for sure.
that's awesome. And I do want to touch base towards the end, a little bit more on the EXP side. But what's ironic is I hear your story. Our journeys in real estate are very similar. I was at Keller Williams for many years. I was a managing broker there. I go to
Mhm.
100% company for all practical purposes. 5.5 years ago, I get a similar type call to take a look at this model and what? And
Yeah.
it was in 3,200 agents in the whole company, never heard of them. And so a couple of us here in Nashville just sort of helped launch it in the Nashville area and didn't know, but it looked like a really, unique, amazing model for realtors. And I thought, what if it is that amazing? And, we
Sure.
don't take the jump. So it's kind of interesting how our journeys. the coaching program you talked about, right? With
You were
Craig.
a part of that too,
We
right?
were part of that too. I
We
didn't know.
never met there.
No,
But
we
yeah.
didn't. But we were part of that to a tune of a lot of money. I mean, I paid 20 grand a year for that program. So, and that was way back in the early 2000s, like you said. So,
Yeah.
but it was, we felt, I mean, you said, I felt the same way. It was the best of the best. But let's kind of jump forward. So you started building a team, right? I know, just because I know a little bit of your history in real estate. So you yourself, I mean, selling 76 homes, you rose up to be in the top 20 of over 4,000 agents in Colorado Springs there. And then your wife joined you again, very similar. I had just gotten so busy. I didn't quite get to 76, but I think I was at 61 deals myself. And it was, you just work 24/7. And I'll never forget, like a client of mine told me, like, this is the hardest person hardest working realtor in real estate. And I wore that as a badge of honor. I thought that was such an awesome compliment. Man, later in life, I'm like, that was not the badge. That's not the badge I want to wear. Right. But at the time I really did almost wear it as a badge of honor. But so she joined you, you build a team, and then you guys rise to be the number one Keller Williams real estate team in the whole area, the whole town of Colorado Springs. So, kind of talk a little bit about that journey. And then also I'd love to hear, there's challenges that we're talking about when you rise, to high levels of volume individually, but then there's a different level of challenges that happen as when we as realtors start building those teams. So talk a little bit about that journey and building the team and what challenges came up for you during that.
Yeah. Well, my wife got licensed, again, we moved to Keller Williams, and the first thing we did was hire an assistant, I mean, and so that was one. And again, it's funny because my wife did it without me knowing about it. Just like I joined the coaching program without her knowing about it. She turned the tables on me. And at first I was like, you did what? Like, oh my gosh. She ran an ad. I'm like, but it was the best thing we ever did. I mean, and I realized after I hired that assistant, like, wow, I should have done this a lot sooner. I mean, it's just, she was able to take off, my plate, just a lot of the day to day, just, to this day, how many emails a day do I get, that I just delete, she'd forward them to a different account, just give me the ones I needed to look at. She was helping me as far as mailings and things we were doing. It was a great hire for sure. And she was with me for years. Hired an assistant, and then we started bringing on a few buyer agents. I just found myself like way better use of my time was to be on the phone. Here's a buyer agent. I could hire a buyer agent to take that buyer around, and we could split the commission. I get a little bit less than if it was me on that, working that buyer. But if I, 5 hours out there looking at, whatever, half a dozen homes and all that kind of stuff, whatever, that's 5 hours I could be on the phone calling leads coming in, and I could set up 5 more appointments easily over those 5 hours, listing appointments, new buyer appointments, that kind of stuff. And that's where I made my money, was doing that. Now I got sick and tired of being on the phones, but I was very good on the phones. I was disciplined about being on the phone. I had it blocked out in my schedule. Here's my time to be on the phone. And I just rarely let anything get in the way of that. Yeah. And so it just built our business. My wife loved being out with the buyers, so she would take buyers. I primarily focused on listings because it was just less time consuming and allowed me to, kind of leverage myself a little bit. I think one of the challenges with that, we did get to be top 20 in town with our team, or number one Keller Williams in town with our team. We did very well over there. The challenge with it was I wasn't as leveraged as I wanted to be, as what I thought I'd be. Yes, my team could handle things for me when I was gone, but I was still on the phone every day. I remember taking our kids to Disney World. They were 10 and 8, and I mean, we were there for 10 days. We did everything, just took our time. And my brother lives in Tampa. We got to spend a little time with him. And so just made a real vacation out of it. My kids to this day will talk about Disney World and that trip. They loved it. It was a great vacation, no question. But I do remember, 4 days sending my wife to the park with the kids. I'll call you when I get there, because what's dad doing? I'm in the hotel room on my laptop, on my phone, putting out fires back in Colorado Springs, dealing with inspection issues, returning calls from different leads that I've had, and just keeping things going, whatever. And so I'd show up at the park at, 4 or 5 o'clock, because I'm not on vacation.
Right.
I moved my office to Orlando, and that's the story I think for most realtors.
Yeah.
With this, I love that we can be mobile, but don't we really want to just be on vacation?
Right.
Don't we just need a good vacation? I mean, yes, we
Yes.
do. And it's hard to do in this business. And so, anyway, that there was that challenge. I think there was also the challenge of, I'd be very busy all the time. I was busier than I'd ever been
Yeah.
having that team, trying, keeping them fed with leads,
Yeah.
keeping up on their deals. 2008 hit, my expenses went up, even though our deals went down. I'm marketing like crazy, trying to find more leads because, here's Corey on my team, single mom who hasn't had a closing in 3 months, and I'm not sleeping at night
Yeah.
because I feel responsible for that. And
Mhm.
so I'm doing everything I can to try and find a deal for her, and we got through all that, whatever, but man, that was stressful.
Yeah.
And then I think just, you'd get a good agent. I remember my guy, John. So John comes on my team, brand new agent. I work with him. He becomes my number one agent. He's doing 30, 40 deals a year. And of course, what does John want to do after a couple, 2, 3 years of that? Well, I don't want to pay Jeff anymore.
Right.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. You've been great. I want to go start my own team. And I helped John start his team.
Yeah.
But he is now my competition. It's just
Yeah.
the truth,
Yeah.
And he goes on to another company or whatever, and that's fine. But it's like, dang it, how do I replace John? An agent doing 30, 40 deals a year. Like, that's not easy to do, And so that was the biggest challenge, I think, as far as being a team leader, was just, constantly having to replace the good agents, because they would go off and do their own thing. And I get that, but that was hard.
Yeah.
So definitely all kinds of challenges that come with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the natural progression with most agents as they build
right.
their businesses.
Mhm.
If they get big enough, well, definitely hire an assistant, maybe get a buyer agent to work with me. Next thing you know, you're bringing on more and you want to build this team, and that's fine. But there's some downfalls to it as well.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, on that. And I want to kind of circle back around to that in just a second, but I want to go a little bit different direction before we do that. So a few years ago, I know you had a health scare, and so kind of talk about that as freely or as openly as you want to, or not.
Yeah, for sure. No, you can ask me anything about that. So 7 years ago, I go in for an annual checkup. I do it every year. Just go in, get the blood work, and check this and check that and whatever, and whatever. Just keep it on that. I'm 60, just turned 60 in October. So anyway, I go in for this checkup, and something's not right. These numbers don't look right. And so anyway, they send me off to a specialist. I get diagnosed with prostate cancer. So we caught it early. Thank God, grateful for that. Had surgery, clean bill of health ever since, which I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, for about 6 months, my wife and I, we had no closings of our own because we could afford not to. I had my team still doing some stuff. I had rental property, had, another business that's paying us passive income every month coming in. So financially, we weren't like stressed, it's going to be a little tighter, but we could afford it. And I think it makes me passionate about what I'm doing now with EXP in terms of just showing agents, a way to develop that, because I try and help everybody see. I think everybody listening to this, everybody watching this, at some point, in some way, shape, or form, life is going to hit you in a way that you don't expect. Hopefully not health. For some, it will be health. Or it might be somebody in the family with health. Or it might be, something in the house, the basement floods. And it's, here's all of a sudden now we have this. There's a realtor I saw, she's right here in town, great agent. And just over the weekend, she posted that their furnace, they woke up in the middle of the night and smelled smoke, whatever. They go downstairs, the husband grabs the fire extinguishers, whatever. Their furnace that they just put in 2017 is on fire.
Oh, my.
Fire extinguishers put it out, but they're displaced out of their home for 4 months now because the smoke damage and everything else, the mitigation they're having to do. I'm just saying, like, life happens.
Yeah.
It's a curveball. It could be a big tax bill. It could be all kinds of things. The economy out of our control. All these things out of our control. But they hit and they happen. And most agents are out of business within 3 to 4 months. If they're not actively getting deals coming in and working that, like, we're going to see a lot of that, right now. Yeah. And so it's just, anyway, here's what can happen. So I really try, and I feel like I'm on a mission to at least wake agents up
Yeah.
to the fact that you need to be thinking ahead, and you need to be, leveraging yourself and building up some different streams of income, whether it's through rental properties, whether it's through just, investments in the right way, or like EXPR model. There's different things you can do there, but somehow, some way, you need multiple streams of income, because again, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
That's right.
Most
Yeah.
agents at some point they're going to need it and they don't have it, and next thing you know, they're out of business.
Yeah.
That happens all the
Yeah.
time, unfortunately, in this business.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, it's, similar with Steve 2 years ago, right? Unexpected bypass surgery, quadruple bypass surgery. And,
Yeah.
For us, we didn't have the traditional team like that you were talking about. But for us, because we had, partnered with EXP 5 years ago, we had built kind of the modern team, as we refer to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, have the leveraged income that afforded me the same opportunity to, while he was healing, just to not be plugged into the business.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that just a second with EXP. So, you had indicated you'd made the move about 5 years. I've been here about 5.5 years ago. And so, being in the industry for 20 years, as you've been, what has EXP, let's talk about the challenges, just as real estate agents. I mean, people really don't have a clue what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. I'm like, thanks to HGTV, it's like, oh, you show 3 houses, you drive a fancy car, and you make a lot of money,
Yeah.
But they really have no idea the expenses that realtors have, and in every, that it's 1099, like we don't close a deal, you're not making a dime.
Yeah.
So it is a very stressful business. So talk about a little about how EXP, since you made that move, and you seem extremely happy here 5 years later. How has that helped you, and what challenges has that helped in your business that you had that you've talked about in the past? Talk about that a little.
I mean, there's so many facets to it. I mean, honestly, like, I don't have my team anymore. My traditional team, what everybody thinks of as a team, I don't have that because I just don't need it in this model. I don't need that. I don't need the overhead of the team, because I could build what you called a modern team. We can build that here at EXP. Now, again, there's plenty of traditional teams here.
Yeah.
So for those that have a team or want to build a team, like, we can help do that for sure.
Yeah, right.
But for me personally, like, I was just able to get away from that. And like, now I've got a team of, coming up on a couple hundred people, and I'm not responsible in the same way I was with my traditional team. I don't have to train them. I don't have to feed them leads. I'm not liable for them. I don't have to, all the things that go on with a traditional team, but yet I can still override, their deals that they do, the money that they give to EXP with their split. So that part of it is really nice. Building up multiple streams of income, getting ownership in the company with stock. I'd never had that before. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, we've got thousands of shares of stock now just from running our real estate business, you know? Not recruiting. Everybody thinks, you get that sometimes. You guys just recruit. That's not true.
Right.
It's a very small percentage of agents here that do recruiting on any level, at all. But there's so many agents, I think, the group that you and I are a part of, we had over 100 agents, a couple of years ago, go over $1 million in stock just from doing their real estate business that they've been doing for years, and this model allows that. And it's like, and then you have such a different mindset when you have ownership in the company. The way everybody's working together here. I mean, it's just weird because we're a virtual brokerage. We're a virtual company. I've got more relationships now with agents than I've had my entire 21 years, which is just, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But that's how it works but when you have ownership, everybody's sharing and collaborating at a level here that I've never experienced before. Every company out there will talk about culture, and that's fine. They've all got their own cultures, but there's still going to be, like, when I was at Keller Williams, I trained probably 10 times with them. I don't know. And I love doing it. I love giving stuff, sharing things, but I'm not going to give it all away.
Yeah.
I'm just not, because I'm whatever, I'm training my competition. That's just the truth of it. Now, I don't want to be like that scarcity mindset. There's enough to go around for everybody. But let's face it. I mean, in this market right now, this economy, 2008 hit. I'm like, man, you're taking every deal you can get.
Yeah.
Because I got to feed my family. I got to take care of my team. I got all these responsibilities. I got 2 people on payroll on my team, my inside sales guy, my assistant. And like there's a big nut to crack every month with, before I pay my own bills. I'm like,
Yeah. Right.
so there's only so much I'm going to give away in terms of helping. Now here though, whole different mindset, because we all own the
So
company.
That's right.
It really is. Everybody's sharing at a level that I've never seen, because the better we all do, the better our brand does, the more closings there are, the more people want to join us, the better our stock does. As a result, our stock goes up. I mean, it's just, here's what happens with this. So everybody, that piece is working in just a huge way. There's so many benefits here. It's not perfect, but I will say I've seen it grow so much. I mean, when I first got in, again, there were, you got in 6 months before me, whatever it was. I don't know, there were 4,000 or 5,000 agents here, whatever, 5 years ago. And I mean, I was skeptical, got to be honest. I mean, I'm like, I was kind of like, I don't know, like, is this for real? Like, what's the catch, But I saw some of the people that were here, all those people I was in that Craig Proctor program with, these big mega agents, like they were here, and I knew those guys, and I trust those guys because I've known them for 20 years, some of them. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be something going on here. But I was like, man, is this for real? Is this going to work? Whatever. But I was like, what do I have to lose? It looks like I have a whole bunch to gain.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, I'll go back to where I came from. That's I'll probably get a better deal going back there because they don't want me to leave. Gives me
power.
Yeah. What do I have to lose? I might as well come over, and try it and give it a year. And if it doesn't work, I'll go back. And kind of came in with that. But man, oh man, I just didn't want to miss it.
Yeah.
If it was for real. And now I'm like 5 years later, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's done way more than I ever even imagined it would do. I can't imagine where we're going to be 5 years from now.
Yeah.
It blows my mind to even think about that, because I've seen what they've done the last 5 years, So there's a lot to be said for what's going on here, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, everybody should at least look at it so they can evaluate it and just make a good informed decision, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. I say that all the time too, and that's always the mentality in business I've operated under. I don't know what I don't know. Like, let me find out whatever it is you want to share with me, and then I'll make an educated decision versus I don't even want to look. And it doesn't even have to be just real estate. I mean, if somebody brings me any business opportunity, it's like, I'll look because I don't know what I don't know. Right. And, because sometimes I'm all about having multiple streams of income, even though real estate's been what I've done for 24 years, but it's like, I mean,
well, not being afraid to try stuff. I think there's just so many people that just play it so safe, they're just, oh my gosh, risk. I don't want to take a risk. Now, first of all, we're all risk takers because we're in a commission structure.
We're in 100% commission.
Let's face it. I mean, whatever. I think that's the thing I love about realtors. I mean, we're very much out of the box thinkers and entrepreneurial in their spirit. And I love that about everybody, because I've always been that way.
Yeah.
I've just never wanted to follow. If everybody's going this way, I want to go that way. That's kind of how I've been for years. I can go back to high school thinking about stuff, that I just did that was out of the box. And so I just think so many people play it safe. Well, again, with this, I'm like, like I was kind of like, what's the risk? Like, what is the risk here, really? Okay, so it doesn't work the way I thought it would, and I go back to where I came from 6 months from now, and oh well, who cares? Not a big deal. But I was like, again, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose if I don't do this? What could happen? Yeah. And again, it's unbelievable what's going on here. And just, we always talk about how we're the most agent-centric company. And I really believe that, at least from what I've experienced.
Well, we've experienced it. I would say I agree. It's just so uncanny. I think your journey and my journey in real estate, yet we're states apart, and just the things that you say. I mean, it's like everything. It's like, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly how I thought, like even everything along the way. And when I looked at EXP, I'm like, I thought, what's the worst thing that can happen? The company shuts down, right? Because I mean, it wasn't a proven model at that point. It'd been around 8 years, but it's only when I came on 3,200 agents. I was like, it's really not even a sustainable, proven model that is sustainable. I was like, what's the worst thing that will happen? Okay, the company shuts down, doesn't even survive. And, the flip side was, or it's not as good as it looks like it could be. Obviously, that's both of those are, not even.
Well, and I had an agent, we were talking about EXP a couple, I don't know, what's today? Monday, 2-3 days ago. And she was just like, she liked what she saw, but she's like, like, man, and she said this, she said, it just sounds too good to be true.
Yes.
And I said, I get that. I said, now 5 years ago for me, like, I mean, I'm the 13th agent in town here. There's 4,000 in the whole company. Like back then, like I get it. Like
Yeah.
it felt like I don't know, it's a shot in the dark. I'm going to try this thing and see
Yeah.
what happens. Today, though, I just told her, I said, look, here's the thing now, 87,000 agents,
Yeah.
number one and number two agents in over 30 states now here, NASDAQ traded stock, like everything about like huge companies coming in here, merging their whole brokerages with EXP, number one agents in Keller Williams and these different companies that are coming here. Like none of that would be happening. None of these people would be risking their entire careers on making a move if they thought it was a risk.
Yeah.
If they thought it was, like this is, I don't know, what's the catch? They wouldn't be coming here. There's no way. Chuck Fazio out in Arizona, Revelation Real Estate, 906 agents. There's no way he would have brought Revelation Real Estate into EXP, a company he built over the years, 906 agents, the number one independent brokerage in the country. He would not have brought that into EXP without doing a whole lot of due diligence. And I'm like, if it's good enough for Chuck, it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for, Tom Daves, number one Keller Williams in the world, it's good enough for me. If it's good enough for Jay Kinder, number two Coldwell Banker agent in the world, 535 deals a couple years ago, like it's just a beast in his business, and he's over here. If it's good enough for Jay, it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm not locked in. I can go back to where I came from, but I'm just like, to me, the skepticism, that part sounds too good to be true. I'm like, yeah, but aren't you glad it's true?
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. This model's never existed before.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely disrupted the industry. So kind of switching gears a little bit on that. Here we are rolling into 2023. We came off, the last 18 months has just been insane. You've been in a long time. I've been in a long time. We've seen great markets. We've seen not so great markets. So what would be your tip kind of as things level out? First of all, I would love, we don't have the crystal ball, but one thing I would love to just talk about for just 2 or 3 minutes is all the headlines we see. If you just read the headlines, it's just complete doom and gloom. Oh my gosh. Sure. The real estate industry is fixing to crash and burn. And like, that's what the headlines say, but when we read as professionals, when we read beyond the headlines, we find out, the headlines are just scaring people to death and they don't really read it all. So what are you seeing? What are you reading? Because you do a lot of reading as I do about what the next year or two in real estate, is going to look like. Again, we don't have the crystal ball, but I want to put what we feel is truth out there, not what the headlines are saying.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's going to be different in different markets across the country. But I think most of what I'm seeing, I think if you look at the numbers right now, most of the numbers are starting to look really more like 2019, which was a great year in real estate.
Right.
When I first got in 2002, I mean, here in Colorado Springs, like average days on the market, I don't know, 40, 45. That's just what it was. We're up to like 30 now, and people are like, "Oh my God, what's?" I'm like, "Calm down." Like it's just these last 2 years have been everything but normal.
Yeah.
So if you've come in the last couple of years, or we've gotten used to that the last couple of years, like we're kind of just shifting back to what really is more of a normal market.
Mm-hmm.
None of the numbers right now are looking anywhere even close to what we went through in 2008.
Right.
So you read the headlines. Yahoo Finance, they had an article here a couple of weeks ago, whatever. Like how the market right now, is like. We're getting ready to repeat what happened 15 years ago. And I'm like, you look at the numbers, that headline is completely misleading. It's just not true.
Yeah.
You go back to 2008, we had over 2 million foreclosures in the United States. The fourth quarter of this last year, we had 88,000.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even close to that. Will there be an opportunity in foreclosures? Maybe.
Yeah.
Is it good to put that tool in your toolbox and learn how to do them? Sure. Why not?
Right.
But you're not going to build your business on foreclosures, at least right now. I'm not saying that can't change as time goes on, but right now that the numbers just aren't anywhere close to what we were back then. Back then it was the mortgages. It was these subprime mortgages that, you had a pulse, like, oh, let's give them a loan.
Yeah.
That's all it took. It didn't matter what you could do. No, you didn't have to show anything.
Yeah.
That's all gone away.
Yeah.
So we don't have that. That's what led to 2008. We don't have that today.
Yeah.
And there's, most people, depending if they bought a house in the last year, there might not be that equity might not be there, but most people right now have a lot of equity in their homes that if they did start falling behind on some things or whatever, they could, if they had to sell, they could sell it.
They can cash out
without even doing a short sale, and probably walk away and put money in their pocket if they
That's
got
right.
into a bind or a situation where they had to do that. The headlines, absolutely. I'm trying to teach everybody right now, all the realtors, like, read past the headlines and then educate your clients, educate your prospects. My wife and I, we have a closing next week with a couple who came to a Christmas party that we had for a bunch of past clients back in December. And these people, they were looking to rent for the next year. We're going to just extend our lease because, oh my God, the interest rates and blah, 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 whatever. I just showed them I knew coming into that party that we were having that we were going to be having all kinds of talks about the market because of real estate and the
people ask all the time.
Yeah. So I just got ready for it and I had a couple things on my phone and I showed these people like a little chart, whatever. And I just showed them that basically and so with their house that they're getting right now, their monthly payment is going to be about $28 more than what it would have been if they'd have bought a year ago. Interest rates are higher, but the price of the home came down some, whatever. And then when you run it all out on the numbers, it's like, here's what it is. And as I showed them all this stuff, and I'm like, it's not as bad as what you're reading. They're like, wow, okay, maybe we shouldn't renew our lease for a year. We went out looking at home. And again, I'm not trying to push people into something they don't want to do.
Right.
But if you want to buy, don't just, I'm going to sit back and wait till the rates drop back to 3%. You might be waiting for a long time. That's probably not going to happen.
Probably never going to happen.
But you can get a better deal in the house right now than what you could have got 6 months ago or a year ago. And how does that balance out? Your monthly payment's probably next to nothing different when you get right down to it. $28. I mean, it's like what, 2 trips to Starbucks or something. I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. So we're closing next week with them, They're all excited about it. So it's just, read past the headlines.
And I think as realtors, that's our job to educate people, just like you did with those people. It's like a year ago, I don't feel like the prices have dropped off that much, but the difference is people aren't paying 50 grand over, right?
Yeah.
A house, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, you list it. I mean, it's this bidding frenzy. People are paying 50, 60, 70,000 over, waiving inspection, waiving appraisal contingencies, all of those things. And so it's really there where I feel like the difference in the payments, as you're talking about, the interest rate might have been 3%, but you're paying 60 grand over, what it's really even worth. And, your interest rate's great, but now fast forward 8 months, the market is stabilized. So people are able to, not pay 60 grand over, might be paying 5.5%, 6% of interest, but payment wise, it's almost the same. And most of the time,
it's almost a wash when you look at it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Right.
What that 450 house, a year ago, you'd get it at 500.
Yeah.
At a 3% interest rate. Well, now that 450 house you're getting for 435, and with a little bit higher rate, you're saving $65,000 off of what you would have paid back then.
Yeah.
And what's the difference in that? It's again, it's like a wash, or 10, 15, $20 a month. Yeah. Not a big deal. You can still get that house. Yeah. So it's just, it's perspective and helping buyers to see it, but helping sellers to understand it as well. It's still a great time to sell and all this kind of stuff. So the one thing I'm telling agents right now too, I think is it's time to sharpen your skills.
Yeah.
Sharpen your axe. Like, you might have a little extra time right now. We're busy. A lot of the agents are busy, but there's going to be a lot of agents leaving the business. So the ones that stick around and really fight through this, whatever, you're going to be competing over buyers, and you're going to be competing over sellers. You're going to be getting interviewed by sellers. You need to have your ducks lined up. You need to have your tools in your toolbox, and you need to know what you're talking about, because the good agents who've been around a while, we know what we're doing. We'll get in there. Yeah. And if you want to compete with the good agents who've been around a while, you've got to be ready and armed and ready to do that. It's not just walk in and sign the paperwork like it was over the last couple of years.
Right,
and who cares who you hire?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore. So it's a great time to sharpen your skills, and the opportunity in this kind of market to me is huge. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here to gain market share.
That's right.
And really grow your business in a big way and stand out. So for sure.
Well, that's a perfect way to sort of wrap up, because I was going to ask you, what would be your number one tip, for agents going into 2023? And, I think that is a great tip just in and of itself. It's like we've got to be sharpening, or even the ones that have been around a while,
Totally.
We all the time, I feel like we as agents are having to sharpen our skills and, things change, technology changes, innovation changes. I mean, look at what EXP is doing, right? We've talked about that from the virtual, they're very future thinking. Glenn is very much a future thinking, visionary building and all. Same with the technology just that we use in the real estate world. I mean, it's changing all the time. So, but for the new ones, the newer agents that have only come in a couple of years ago, it's even more critical because they've got to be able to, it's not just quote unquote order taking now. It's like you've got to really figure out how to create a business. At the end of the day, that's what we create as agents, is a business.
Yeah. I think, I'm plugging into trainings, we're doing, I just want to plug that for a minute. Anybody that watches this, whether you don't, we open this up to all companies every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. We host a mastermind that's open to everybody. It's not an EXP pitch at all. We don't talk about EXP. It's all just value add for the agents. And I've just said the last 3 or 4 months has been phenomenal. The agents that are, 50, 60, 70 agents on there, and we're all throwing ideas around and bouncing things around. We got all companies coming in there. That's open to everybody. Get back to Kathy or myself, and we'll give you the Zoom link to get in there, whatever. It's so worth coming in just to, again, keep on that. I've been in that. It's been awesome. I'm reading more books, than I've read in a while. Working on this constantly. I'm probably listening between reading and audio, probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. For me right now, about 6 days a week that I'm spending on just working on myself. Because I got keeping ahead on this. 21 years of doing this. Oh, he didn't need to do it. No, I'm still growing. Work in progress, all of us. That's why I got all these back here and always working on that to go to the next level. I just signed up for something yesterday that about $100 a month. I'm going to try it and see if it helps me in my business. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm trying new things and doing new things, keeping up with technology, keeping up with the industry, so for sure.
Yeah, it's so
you got to do it.
Yeah, it's so critical. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being on today and just sharing your wisdom and some of these tips. And
sure.
I know agents are going to get a lot of value out of this. And I just appreciate you being on so much. I appreciate being in partnership with you.
Absolutely. Likewise.
We're just doing big things in our industry and wanting to help a lot of people. And that's why I wanted to have you on today, just to be able to share, some of your wisdom you have. So thanks again.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate having me. Good luck to everybody. Okay.
Thanks. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.